Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting around while we had a short technical difficulty. I don't know if you all are paying attention to the stars, but Mercury is apparently in retrograde, and it really has had it out for us this live stream. So, but here we are. We made it. But bear with us. We are having a lot of Wi-Fi connectivity issues right now. I'm actually tethered to my phone network right now to do this stream. So I'm really sorry if I'm blurry or choppy. And yeah, we're doing what we can. And if I go out, we'll come back as soon as I can, and Fabi will continue as she can.
We got this.
Again, bearing with us, everyone. If you are just joining because you got this email and clicked a link, we're going to be talking about a jig design, referencing it this whole time, and you may not have gotten it yet. So if you sign up at glowforge.com/daydream to dream job, you'll get this PDF, which explains this whole process that Fabi is here to walk us through today. So go ahead and sign up for that anytime. Oh, I'm getting a notice that it seems like we have not gone live on YouTube. So one moment, I'm going to stop speaking while I check some tech things. Okay, I see that it's not live. Well, I think we don't want to end the stream because this is the link that we have sent everybody to. So I don't want to confuse everyone to go somewhere else. And from our streaming software, it looks to me like it is streaming on YouTube, but I agree that it does not appear to be streaming on YouTube. I'm not seeing or hearing anything. No. Oh my goodness. Well, this is a fun like extra technical difficulty. I wonder if we can tell if it's streaming anywhere else. It's not live on Facebook either. I'm afraid to end the stream because I'm afraid we can't get back to this URL. So if we end it right now, I feel like it will, well, it never started though, right? Do you think we should risk ending it, turning it off, and trying to restart it?
Where
like
are
reconnect? Michelle. So Michelle will end it. Michelle will, you think it'll go back to the same URL as long
Somebody's
as it's like
saying that they went to the channel on YouTube and they can see you. I'm seeing you live on Facebook.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to our session. Okay, so it's live on Facebook. I think, oh.
YouTube is on too.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to wait to start until I can see it on my end.
Okay.
I'm still not seeing it on YouTube. I'm going to wait a moment. This is a very exciting one. Okay, I'm being told that we're live. Well, what you all missed, or maybe you caught part of, was a spiel about how, man, we've had a lot of technical difficulties with this stream today. So thank you. I'm so sorry. Sorry if I'm blurry and I'm tethered to a phone because Wi-Fi is just not having us this morning. So thank you for joining us. I'm Bailey from Glowforge. I'm here with Fabi. We have a really cool stream for you planned today. And so I hope we get to do it. Please, Wi-Fi gods, bear with us. I'm going to hop over to YouTube and see it with my own eyes before I really get started. Okay, I still don't see it on YouTube, y'all. But should I? Yeah, it is live? Okay. I am refreshing. I don't see it. Weird. Okay, maybe I'm several minutes behind or something.
Maybe.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people saying that they can see us.
Okay. I'm going to trust y'all, even though I don't see it. I'm worried that it's going to go live and be really loud in this tab, though. So I'm muting that tab. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Anyway, everyone, if you are watching us live, this is a stream of Daydream to Dream Job. What this is a deep dive into some topic that is going to help you start or scale your Glowforge powered business. I know a lot of you have Glowforges or other lasers or crafting machines, cutting machines, or you'd like to. And so you're here just trying to get inspired and find out like what the opportunities and possibilities are, because there are thousands of people who have started Glowforge powered businesses. I've actually been at Glowforge for more than 10 years. So when I joined, we were still launching it and creating what it was going to be. But then people like Fabi, we met Fabi when she already had her own Glowforge and had already begun a Glowforge powered business with it. And it's so amazing to see what she and people like her have done. So Fabi, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah. Honestly, when I got my laser, when I got my Glowforge, I had no idea how to use it. I even remember getting my laser and thinking something different from it. I was just not sure how to use it. It took me forever to open it. I was just so scared. And then like a week later, I opened it and I started using it and I was like, "Oh my God, like why did it take me so long?" I've been using it for 5 years and I've learned everything along the way, and if there's something I could change, is opening my laser sooner because it's so simple, it's so easy, and it's just so fun. And you're always going to be learning things, but it's definitely something that you have to experiment and explore and just play around with.
Like, so you're saying you didn't become a laser expert and then get your first laser, right? Like
No,
you
I
did
had
it
no
along the way.
idea. I remember I was doing like doodles and sharing my lettering on Instagram, and I came across a profile with some girl and her laser. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I had been planning and thinking, and I was just trying to do something that I could work from home because I had just had my
Yeah.
baby. And I just wanted to do something from home that allowed me to be with them. And just, I just didn't know what. And that came on my feed, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. But I had no idea how to use it. And I talked to her. She helped me a lot. Like, she told me how she used it. I saw her creations. Actually, Fuong, she makes
Oh
amazing
yeah.
things. Yeah, she's lovely. She helped me so much. She shares so much with me. And I got my laser. I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie. But it's been like life changing. It's been a game changer and it's been super fun to, see how far I've came since I started. So it's crazy.
And I've heard this story from a lot of successful laser makers like yourself, like that one that you got inspired by someone else that you saw and that you sort of found like a mentor, or some people just really dive into online communities, rather maybe not just one specific person, but also that you were learning as you went and just deciding which skills to level up as you go. So, and you're like a full-on designer and everything these days. So Bobby's going to walk us through a really cool technique that will help you, if you make personalized things to sell, really scale how much you're able to do, and really alleviate a lot of those moments of like frustration that come with the joy of like the push button of Glowforge. You have to have it aligned right? And that can be just the worst, is if you print before it's perfectly aligned. So the tool that Bobby's going to show us today helps alleviate that frustration and just helps you really scale up what you're doing. And so what that is, if you can't tell from the scrolling bar below, it's a jig. So Bobby, can you talk a little bit more what a jig is?
Yes, a jig is a base technically that you make to fit whatever material you're trying to engrave. It helps you, one, place a bunch of items all at the same time so you don't have to be opening and closing your laser. And it also helps you with alignment. You know how sometimes you have either wooden forks or something, or I have these Apple band watch bands here. These are like a particular shape. It's not like a rectangular shape. So
Right.
you want to make something where you can place them and get the perfect alignment for them. So you can actually place your engraving in the right spot. And that's technically what it is. It's just a base made to fit whatever material you're trying to engrave. You can do bracelets, bands, shot glasses, name it.
That's so cool. And it's the same technique that you could use to do packaging too. Or we have
Yeah.
another
Oh,
example, which is
yes.
yeah, it's like this one is like a Valentine we'll show you. But yeah, it's a really cool technique for getting things aligned just right. And you can use it with a bunch of different things. So I just want to emphasize today we're going to talk about pencils, which Fabi has found to be a bestseller. But if you're not going to do pencils, lots of other opportunities to use this technique. So just think about things that you make that you might be able to scale up with this technique. Okay, and before we get started on that, for anybody that joined, I am hearing I guess if you're watching this, then you're already on this tab. But what happened with our technical difficulties is this is streaming just through to the live tab in Glowforge, not the link that we send everybody to. So again, Mercury in retrograde today, but I think we're live and some people are watching. So I wanted to make sure that y'all got the opportunity to register for our giveaway. So we do a $250 gift card giveaway. So if you already have a Glowforge, you could use that towards proof grade materials or other Glowforge accessories. And if you don't have a Glowforge, that can go towards a purchase of a printer. So to enter, we can pop the the giveaway link into chat, but we will have to put it in the right chat. So hopefully my folks, my chatters have figured out where the right chat is. It's really silly because usually we're also in the same room, but because of Wi-Fi, I ran downstairs. So we're trying to telepathically communicate. So go ahead and enter that giveaway. And if you haven't signed up, again, go to glowforge.com/daydream to dream job. And that's where you'll get a really great, really detailed walkthrough of how to do this technique at home. We're going to walk through it right now, but you'll get the PDF of it and also the files that you need to recreate this. All right, so if we can get the PDF ready to bring up, I know that takes a moment, but then we'll kind of get started. And Bobby, before we get started, do you want to kind of tell us why you ended up working with Jigs and making Jigs for the first time? Because it's obviously like not what you got a laser for. Like, oh, I'm going to make alignment tools. Yeah.
It's actually so funny because I feel like this is how my bestsellers come. I don't plan on selling something, and then I post a picture of what I made, and people are like, "Oh my God, are you selling those?" So that happened with the pencils for my son. A few years ago, I engraved his pencils for school, and I took pictures, and people were like asking, "Do you sell those?" And I was like, no, but I am going to. So I always try to like say yes, even though I don't, and I'll figure it out. So I needed to figure out a way to be able to engrave as many pencils as I could and having the perfect placement, because when I did my son's pencils, it was just me putting tape on the laser and just trying to make them not to move and just trying to get the perfect alignment. And it was just hectic. Like, I don't even know how I did it, how they turned out good, but they did. So
a lot of trial and error is what I'm guessing. Yeah.
So then I started like doing research, and I saw people using jigs, and I tried it myself, and it's just crazy because I remember first, even with my business cards that I sell too, I used to place paper under the business card because the crumb tray is black, the business card's black, so I couldn't see it from the camera and the laser. And I was putting paper and then a piece of wood on the bottom, aligning the credit card to keep it straight, and then making us. It was just so difficult, just
You're doing
so
all this
difficult because
manually, by
I will
hand,
have
and it's
to open it and place each one
it.
individually. Yes, it was just messy. So then I thought of it too. I'm like, if I can do it with pencils, why couldn't I do it with the business cards too? So I measured the business card. That's what I have my caliper here. If you parenthesis, if you have a laser, I recommend you get a caliper because it's a game changer. You can get exact measurements of your materials, and it's just super helpful. So I did that. I measure my business cards with it, and I just made a jig for my business cards. And now, instead of engraving one business card at a time, switching paper and moving and stuff, I just put as many as I can fit in my jig, and it's just so much easier, so much faster, and it's just perfectly centered.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, just like work smarter, not harder, sort of thing, right?
Yes. And I
Okay.
swear to you, I wish I had learned that before. I feel like there's so many things that I've learned along the way that I've been like, I remember doing things for a whole year a certain way and then finding out how to do them faster and easier
Yeah,
after
and
a whole year.
I mean, and this was probably the first time you used calipers, right? I can't think other than Glowforge of a time that I have used them in my life. Maybe like elementary school or maybe science class.
I
I don't
never
know.
used one before. Never. I didn't even know what it was. I was Googling, what is it?
They're pretty cool. But like you said, you can get the exact thickness of whatever you're engraving on. And then those little hundredths of an inch really make a difference in the
They
precision
do.
and how crisp your engrave looks when you're doing something, something a little different, like the silicone watch bands or the pencils or whatever. So, well, do we have the PDF up yet? Maybe. Oh, okay. We're still loading it. Here we go. Oh, here it is. All right. So again, if you go to glowforge.com/daydream to dream job and register for this, we'll email you this along with the design for the pencil jig. So you can grab it there, but we're going to run through it right now.
Okay. So I tried, when I was making this guide, I was trying to make it brief and just clear, but I feel like there was so much information that it's super relevant that I think this is such a complete guide. I am super proud of how it turned out.
So
And
good.
I am sure that if you follow this, you will be able to make your own jigs and they're gonna change your game completely. So, first of all, it shows you the contents, it shows you what you need, and it also mentions that you get also. I created the jigs for you in case you want to skip this part and just have them ready. You can also get those by registering for this live stream. But if you want to go ahead and make your own,
Yeah.
then you can see in the next page the supply list. You if we're gonna be engraving pencils in this case, you're gonna need pencils. I just have like this number 2 wooden pencils, and you, like I said before, calipers really do make the difference. They are so precise and you can get the exact measurement, and when you're doing laser, 0.01 inch makes the difference. So
It does.
I
I've seen
recommend.
it. Yeah, I've seen because Glowforge does have the ability to measure the material that you put in there, right? It uses
Yes.
camera and the head is able to, you can, when you do the, oh gosh, what's that? What's that called, Fabi? When you do the extra measurement, so it
Like the
is.
focus.
Yes, thank you. The set focus. So there's a set focus feature in Glowforge that has it do like an extra measurement. And we always recommend doing that. I do it all the time, but especially if you're using something that's not proof grade material, like something
Yeah.
that's not a material we make. But using the calipers gives you even more accuracy. And I've seen the difference between a manual accurate, super accurate, and not. And there's just like a little crispness in the engrave that it's worth the extra work for, especially if you're selling it, right? You want your stuff to be the best.
Yeah. And totally, if you put your materials in the laser, I feel like it gets a really good measurement and distance and everything. But when you're creating things like the jigs and you want to be able to actually fit the, like, let's say the pencil or the card, these work really good. Because
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, hold on one second. Let me go back. So, depending on the machine that you're using, you will need, for Glowforge, Aura, and Spark, I recommend using plywood just
Mhm.
because MDF can really get your machine really dirty and mess it up. So if you, I know material is very valuable, but jigs
Mhm.
are things that you're only gonna make once, hopefully, and they're gonna last you forever. So use plywood for your Aura and Spark. If you're using a Glowforge Pro, you can go ahead and use MDF, which is the draft board.
Yep.
And so you're gonna need either draft board, MDF, you're gonna need your caliper, you're gonna need your pencils, and I use my external designer program just because I am so used to it.
Yeah.
You could do a jig from the Glowforge app for sure.
Yeah. If you have Glowforge Premium, then you're able to
If you have
create.
Glowforge Premium, you can do that from there for sure.
And then the other thing,
So
we'll show a video of that after we go through this. But there's also a way to create a jig using the Glowforge Trace feature. So we'll show that after. But
that's super fun. I am like still shocked from that.
yeah.
Um, okay, so going to the next page, the step 1 will be to measure your pencil using your caliper. You have to get measurements for thickness, I have mines in inches because I have my laser set up in inches and my designer program as well. So you're gonna measure the thickness of your pencil, and there you're also gonna measure. I have a measuring tape here. You're gonna measure the length of your pencil.
Mhm.
I saw some people adding a couple inches to their space just to
Mhm.
make it fit better. Honestly, I don't think that's necessary. Your laser burns the material and it burns the curve that it gets depending on your on the laser that you're using, either Spark Aura or Glowforge Pro. I think it's just perfect. Like I've used exact measurements and my pencils fit perfect. So you're gonna get your measurements, you're gonna measure the thickness, you're gonna measure the length, and then with those measurements, we can go to the next page. And we're gonna go to our designer program and we are going to create a box with those measurements for
Mhm.
the height and the length. That's gonna be where we're gonna be placing our pencils. And that one, we are going to duplicate it as many times as we can fit it in our workspace. So that means that you're going to be able to engrave all those pencils all at once without having
How
to
many,
open your
how many
laser.
is on, how many is
And
on
it's
there?
going
Is
to
it
save you so much time.
12 or 15 or something like that? Looks like a few.
I forgot to mention too, I measured the distance between the eraser and this aluminum part right here, just because this is like this part you're not going to be able to engrave it. So you want to make sure that you're not placing your text on this part, and that is why we're going to use our caliper to measure the distance.
Oh, okay.
So to be able to keep that in mind, what I usually do is, since I'm going to be using the same file of my
Mhm.
jig whenever I come back to engrave new personalizations, what I want to do is I don't want my boxes to move. Those are going to be there just as a guide. So at first you're going to obviously export your entire file and you're going to cut those boxes. But after that, when you're coming back to your jig just to make a different personalization, let's say you got a different order and you want to put different names, you're gonna block and you're gonna lock those layers where your boxes are so they don't move. And so you can play around with your text and just place it, center it to each box. I use lines. On step 6, you're gonna see that I use lines to mark where my the not engraved zone is, and I only use those lines as guides. I don't want to place my text after that line, so it's just the
Okay.
mark, so I don't place text there. It's just measuring the distance between the eraser and the aluminum. We are
Okay.
not gonna engrave those. I use different colors for each thing. So my boxes that I'm going to cut, I want to be very clear, and it's everything really explained in the paper, but I
Yeah.
just want you to understand the why behind like the colors of each step and everything. So your
Yeah.
Glowforge is going to read your colors as a different step, and that way it's easier for you to control it. So if you want to ignore something, you're going to be able to do it easily because it's going to be set as a separate step,
Yeah. So
if
we're
that
not
makes
showing the
sense.
Glowforge app right now, but if you're looking at your design, once she uploads that, it will separate each color into either cut, engrave, or score. And she'll be able, because there are different colors, they're looked at as different elements, and you're able to go in and tell it to cut, engrave, or score each thing. So like all of the red boxes she'll cut out, and then they will be the slot for the pencil to fit into. So when you're designing for a laser like Glowforge, you use different colors in the design to tell the Glowforge that these are like different elements that I want to treat differently with what I'm doing to them. Yeah, it's a
Yes,
really good
so
design tip.
colors are your friends for sure. You
Yes.
want to make several steps, colors are your friends. And so when you're placing that guide, you place it, you can see it there in step 6. It's a different color, the boxes are different colors. And then we're going to go to the next step and we're going to add text to our boxes. And as you can see in the picture, the text is before that line because we don't want to engrave on the aluminum part. So once you have that ready and your text is a different color, your boxes are a different color, and your guidelines are separate, then you're gonna see that when you export that to your Glowforge app, you're gonna be able to work around with it way easier, ignoring things that you don't want to cut. Let's say you cut your jig already, you don't want to cut it again. You're gonna ignore the layer for the cutting part,
Right.
and you're only gonna leave your text set for engraving. Um, Basically, step 8 is just telling you how to import your file to the Glowforge app. If you have a Glowforge, you've been using it, you know that you go to create new design, you upload your file from wherever you have it saved. I use either SVG or PDF.
Yep.
And after that, we go to our Glowforge app, and we're gonna be able to see, like I mentioned before, the colors as as different steps. When we are creating our jig for the first time, we are obviously going to ignore our text because we are only making the jig. And
Yeah.
we're going to ignore our guides. So the
Oh,
lines.
so this is all one file. That's okay. That's something I didn't
Yeah.
quite get. This is all one file. So the file that you use to cut the wood out to make the actual physical jig is the same file that you use to personalize the text. Because I just saw a question in chat like, okay, this makes so much sense, but how do I personalize the text? That's a separate part of the same file, and you'll be able to go in and change it.
Yes. Um, what I honestly do when I do text, I used to convert it to curves
Uh-huh.
because that's the way to do it. But I found out that if you're gonna do cursive, then for sure you have to convert your text to curves. So you will be opening new text boxes every time you want to personalize, because that text is not gonna be able to be modified. But
Yep.
if you're using just a regular font, it's not cursive, you can not convert it to curves and leave the text as actual text. So you can
Uh-huh.
go back whenever and just change it to the new personalization. So
And you'll
that's
do
way
that.
easier.
And would you do that from the design program or you would do that from the Glowforge app?
Depending on what you're using to create your jig, or yeah, if you're gonna create your jig from the Glowforge app, then do everything from the Glowforge app. If you have an external designer program, then I think it's easier to do it everything from your external designer, just because you have your file already created there and you're able to just modify the text. Like I said, when your file is ready, you're gonna lock your layers for the boxes that you cut, the actual jig, and your guidelines, because you don't want to touch those. Those are only for you to see where to place your text.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So for people who are not making their own, but are just going to use yours that came with this download today to change the text in that, they would create a new text box within the Glowforge app, right?
Yes,
Okay.
if they're using the Glowforge app, yes. If they're using
Okay.
their designer, then they do it from there. And I recommend using your snap tool, the little magnet that just makes you center everything correctly. There's like these guidelines that make you see how it snaps in the center without
Mm-hmm.
it being moved or anything. So always keep your magnets on, your snap tool on, or whatever name it has, depending on your designer program.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you want everything to be very precise and neat. So
And I saw a
once
question in chat. Sorry. I saw a question about how do you line the jig without snap marks? Snap marks is a feature, a deprecated feature that I don't believe that we have at Glowforge anymore. And it was like a jig type of feature. So the tutorial that we're giving today is all done without that. And so this is how, yeah.
I
And
think for a jig to be very, because sometimes it's just funny because the lens, for the way it's made, for the way it is, sometimes it's hard to see from the camera if it's in, like if it's
exactly
right, if it's
aligned.
aligned. Sometimes it
Yep.
makes it look like it's not aligned, but it is, as long as you always keep your jig on the exact same spot. So
Mhm.
if you're gonna place your material and you're gonna cut your jig, next time you place your jig in your Glowforge, because you're doing a new order, you
Yeah.
want to place your jig in that exact same spot. So
Yep.
what I recommend you to do is, what I do is I push my material all the way down in my Glowforge to touch the bottom part of my laser. So like if you have a Glowforge Pro, the one that you actually well, actually all of the lasers, the one that you open to pull out your crumb tray, that
Yeah.
one you want to align your material all the way down there till it hits. And obviously, if you're using Glowforge Proof Grade, it fits right in the crumb tray. So you will see it's where it's supposed to be, right in the crumb tray, and then you push it all the way down. That's how I know I am placing it in the exact same spot. If you're making a smaller jig, or let's say you're using your aura and you're not pushing it all the way down, you can use painter's tape and tape it on. Don't tape the jig, but mark where your jig is with tape so you can align it next time. You'll have the tape there, but it doesn't, like, nothing happens. You'll just be more safe next time you want to engrave something.
Totally. That makes sense. Yeah. So I was thinking if it was really little, like a piece of tape or something like that could work too, but I don't know, like to align it. Cause I see what you're saying. Like sometimes you get a little bit of a like slight, it looks not aligned from the camera, but you just have to trust that once you
Yes.
put it in.
If you place it in the same spot, it's gonna be fine. Even if you see it a little move on your, I promise you, it's gonna come out good. And also, what I used to do before is I used to set focus once the pencils were in the laser, and that
Mhm.
kind of like messed things up for me because it will look even more moved from the screen. So what I do now is, if I am using, let's say I'm using my Glowforge Pro HD, I put my MDF and I am using the draft board setting from Glowforge. So when I engrave my pencils, I'm not gonna change the material. I'm not gonna change anything. And I am actually, if I need to, if I set the focus, I'm not gonna set the focus on the pencils, but the material.
Ah,
Because that will, if you set your focus on your pencils, it's gonna distort your image. Like your
okay.
jig is gonna look bigger or smaller, I don't recall, but it's just gonna distort your image, and
So
it's
you're saying
it's gonna
focus
be
that
harder.
focus on the jig itself, just real close to the object for your
Yes,
best.
because that's gonna show you the true size to where you actually place your jig the first time. So nothing's gonna move. It's so simple, I promise you. I know it probably sounds a little complicated, but once you do it and you see what I'm talking about, it's just so simple and it's super helpful.
Cool. For those of you who are just joining, we have this guide available for you to download at glowforge.com/daydream to dream job. And you'll also get Fabi did all the work already, made the file, but you can learn how to apply these same methods to making a jig for many other things. We talked about some of the other things you can make a jig for at the beginning, like engraving, silicone watch bands, or if you go to any craft store, there are a lot of blanks these days, kind of like wooden things like coasters or small glass flasks that will fit on the bed of your Glowforge. Oh yeah, look at all. Oh my gosh, wait, hold on. That's the one
These
from the
are
video.
so cute.
Hold the phone, everyone. Trend alert. It's like a mini. It's like a
It's
mini.
a mini shot glass. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for, but it's just so cute.
It's so cute. I know. Just some electrolytes all day, just in tiny, tiny shots of them. But those are adorable and those fit, and those would be a perfect type of project that you could create a jig for. And that way, you've got your engraved the way that you like it, especially if you were doing a batch of those for a bachelorette party or something like that. Um, some other things. Oh, like keychains. You mentioned your metal business cards, like bookmarks. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is I know that there's people here that don't have a laser yet, and like you already have a business maybe where you sell things that are not made with a laser. Like for example, if you made bracelets, we've seen a lot of people get really creative with adding a Glowforge to their workflow for, say, a jewelry business and creating tools that help them make their existing products either more personalized or make them more efficiently. So, for example, if you made, you had a woven bracelet business, you could create jigs that helped you hold the bracelets in place in a certain way, make more of them at once, add beads in a more efficient manner, maybe add a leather piece that's engraved. So I've seen a lot of people that have a craft and then they're adding the Glowforge to elevate it, make more, and scale. And so just, try to think about what you're already doing and how a jig could help you make it into an actual, a bigger income stream. It's really exciting if you get creative. All
Totally.
right. Sorry, I derailed us.
No, I love that. I actually, Kate she made a video on how to, she made a jig for bracelets, and I had never thought of it before, and
Yeah.
it's just crazy how much, like how much more like easier it is to work with your things. Um, Hold on one second. So yeah, I know if now that you were mentioning people that don't have a Glowforge yet, this can sound a little bit like too overwhelming. And trust
Yeah.
me, I have been there. But I promise you, all these make sense once you start working with materials, with when you start playing with stuff. If you are waiting for you to be 100% ready and understanding everything, in my personal opinion, I didn't. I I got my laser, and after I got it is when I started like learning and understanding, and I was just like, oh my god, now it makes sense. So if you feel overwhelmed, trust me, it's just normal. You're gonna be
and
fine, and you're gonna
and it
love
will
it.
help you. Yeah, and it'll help you scale up from being able to make just a couple of things or making one pencil at a time that you like nudged around on the bed a millimeter. Make
I
sure it's in the
promise you, it's such a game changer. Like I just think about, I swear to you, I go back a few months ago when I used to place individually. I saw a comment earlier that somebody is like way too scared to put a bunch of cards at the same time, so she just sticks to doing it individually. I promise you the jig is gonna change your game. Like it's gonna be so precise. Everything's gonna be centered. You're gonna be like, oh my God, why didn't I do this before? It's gonna work out so good.
Yeah. So if you're intimidated, we get it. We've been there, but this guide will make it as painless as possible to create a jig. And oh, do we want to show Bale's video? I have it open on Instagram in another tab. Are we done? Did we walk through all these steps, or am I cutting you off before step 13?
No, I think we
Okay.
went through everything.
Let me see if
Hmm.
I can play this video. So this is on Instagram, and this is Bale, who is one of our best laser friends. She's hosted some of these live streams with me. She is at Just One More Project on all the things, and you'll see it on here. And she runs Laser Craft Fest, which is a really cool event. I think it's biannual now. So that's something to look into if you are a laser entrepreneur. It's lots of content like this for people who work with lasers. And she did a really cool technique of just using the cameras inside Glowforge to create a jig for kind of a strange shaped object. So let me see with
I
that.
remember when I saw that video, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, why didn't I think about that before? She's brilliant.
Okay. I don't know if it's just going to start playing. So we'll see.
Figuring out how to get the perfect cutout size for them. That's when I decided to give the image trace feature in Glowforge a try. I placed the slime can into the machine, opened up the trace tool, and then I just crossed my fingers. Then I took the trace result into Illustrator, used the pen tool to clean up the shape, uploaded it back into Glowforge, and the moment of truth, it fits! Now we have the cutest slime-filled Valentine's Day gift ready to go. It worked out perfectly and saved me a ton of time. So if you're dealing with quirky shapes, try the image trace feature in Glowforge. Who knew it would be a game changer for my Valentine's slime project? Okay, so my daughter in
Okay. So yeah,
Like,
super
wow.
brilliant. So those were like little heart-shaped slime containers, and that was not a jig exactly, but it was a way to use. It could have been though if she wanted to then put, a label on the slimes that was made of wood veneer and engrave each of them. She could have used that technique to do 20 of them at once, for example. So super creative. There are just so many ways you can turn like any technique on its head and use it in a different way. And I'm always like very impressed with people for that. So
I actually use that for
oh,
this apple, the white
that's how you
sands.
did that one?
Yeah, and you can put a bunch of them. Like I just tested it, so it's a little thing, but you can make a big jig with a bunch of these, and you can put everything all at once, and you're good to go.
That is awesome. All right. Well, I think we are nearing the end of our stream. Are there any? I'm sure there are some questions that I missed. So if you have any questions that I haven't addressed that you're really wanting answered, please pop them into chat again and I will take another look. I also wanted to remind everyone to please sign up for the giveaway. If we've managed to get that link into chat, we have a $250 gift card giveaway. And Fabi, I guess I know you've given us so much advice during this. We've talked about it a few times prepping, but I feel like once we got going, I was like, Fabi's passionate about jigs and scaling things.
I'm obsessed.
Obsessed. But what do you think like your number one tip would be about making jigs or leveling up in order to scale what you're making? What's your number one takeaway from this stream?
I feel like it's all out there. Like, if you are somebody who sells a bunch of the same items, either their keychains, let's say you buy your own leather keychain blanks,
Yep.
and you always place one at a time. Use a jig. If you engrave the same exact item multiple times and you find yourself opening and closing your laser multiple times to get the job done, make a jig. Like, make a jig. Grab your caliper, measure your item, and make a jig. It's gonna change your game. Um, Placement is key. Your jig has to be in the same spot. So I recommend the painter's tape, mark your laser's bed, and it's just, I promise you, it's simple. Try it out. It sounds more complicated and complex than what it is. It's not. It really is not.
Love it. Okay, got some questions while you were talking. They have them. And they're like, this is amazing. Okay, so somebody mentioned that sometimes their crumb tray shifts around within their Glowforge. And so if you're counting on the crumb tray, how do you eliminate that? What I would say, maybe you have a different tip, but what I would say is there are like grooves in the Glowforge so that the tray shouldn't shift around. It should be like popped right in. And then then it's like kind of stuck in that exact perfect space. And so I would just recommend that before you decide that this is your main position, that you make sure it's popped into the grooves. Is that right? Is that what you'd say too?
Yeah. If you move it by accident, just make sure it's back and it's got the grooves there for sure.
Totally. And then I did want to mention, somebody said, where can I get one of these lasers that you're talking about today? Well, my goodness. What we're talking about today is Glowforge lasers. And so Fabi's been working with Glowforge Pro and Pro HD, but she also has the Spark. I believe she has the Aura. I think she has all of them. So we have lasers that are made more for crafters and just, hobbyists. Then that's the Glowforge Aura and Spark. Those are smaller. We have the files for all of the jigs. Sorry, we have files for
lasers.
all of the lasers, and including this. And then our Glowforge Pro series was really made for people who are wanting to sell things because they are the fastest lasers that we make. The Glowforge Pro HD specifically has a couple features that would make the jig process even like that much crisper and cleaner. For example, it has our most updated advanced camera in it. It also has a feature called preview mode. If you want to look at this feature closer, just Google or in YouTube, look up Glowforge preview mode. What it does is it shows you exactly what your material will look like after you do the cut, engrave, or score, because I don't know about you, but I have done those wrong before where I thought I was engraving something, but I was cutting it out and then it came out and it was like, yeah, that's what I was expecting. Like, oh, that is shocking. And then you wasted a piece of material. So that's a really cool feature. So again, that's the Glowforge Pro HD. It's our top of the line. It's kind of the one that we made for sellers. We made it. It's our new, or it's our newest. It's a newer addition to our line of lasers, and we made it with feedback from our sellers. Like, here is things that would make Glowforge even better, and it's that it's so fast and that it's so precise. So, if you're looking to start a business, that's what we would recommend, and you can check those out on glowforge.com. Let me see if there's any last questions before we wrap up. Which one do we recommend to start?
Depending on what you want to do.
If you're wanting to start a business, I really recommend jumping in with the Glowforge Pro HD because, like Fabi said, if you wait until you've learned it all,
you're always going to be learning something new.
Exactly. And so I think sometimes just diving in head first with like, this is my dream. I'm going to start the business. I'm going to sell earrings on Etsy, or I'm going to do a booth at the holiday market this year. I would really, you don't want to wish that you'd gotten the bigger laser a couple months later once you're like new in your laser superpowers, because you will have them and you'll be like, whoa, I can do this. So, and actually, speaking of the holidays, we do have keep your eyes peeled in this place on YouTube and your emails and your SMS from Glowforge, because we will be doing some upcoming streams about preparing for the holidays. So if you are a seller who is counting on a big Q4 this year, because it's usually the biggest opportunity to sell things, holiday decor and also gifts, we are going to have some experts on here soon to talk about the best ways to prep for a stress-free Q4, stress-free and big paychecks. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It was a bit of a chaotic start. I think most of you found us, but it's always an adventure dealing with live type of experiences. So thanks for bearing with us and chatting and engaging with us today. It's always so cool to see you here. And thanks, Fabi, for joining me.
Of course. I was gonna say, I know we have limited time, but if anybody has any questions, I am an open book. You can reach out to me and I can try to help you as much as I can. I've been there, done that. So whatever I can help you with, feel free to reach out to me, message me on Instagram, and I'll help you gladly.
Yeah. And so if you want to follow Fabi, it's at Fabi Design Studios.
Yes.
Multiple.
Studio. No,
One.
just one. Just one.
So go ahead and follow her there, and you heard it here. She will be there to give you advice. So that's how we all enhance our laser superpowers, is with this community. So thanks for helping us make it what it is today. And thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.